آمنوا أن تخشع قلوبهم لذكر الله وما نزل من الحق ولا يكونوا كالذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبل فطال عليهم الأمد فقست قلوبهم وكثير منهم فاسقون.
What are these feelings stirring inside of me? And what's possible when I lean into my calling? Assalamu alaikum, my dear sister, and welcome back to the Soul in a Mission series. In this video, I want to talk to you about a concept that I call soul whispers. And it's a concept that I share with my students and my clients when helping them to clarify what they really want to achieve, the things they need to shift in their lives, and what is in service of them attaining their next level for the sake of Allah. And this concept of soul whispers is predicated upon the fact that underneath all of the noise, all of distractions, the opinions of others, our own wounds and insecurities, our sins and the whispers of shaitan, the expectations from society, underneath all of that, our soul knows what's good and true and what will elevate us in this life and the next. And our fitra is hardwired to seek this out, unlike our nafs, which is tethered to the dunya. And our soul is always calling us forward and seeking to pull us upward. And you'll feel its whispers in almost every area of your life if you're able to quiet the noise and to tap in. Now, what's possible when you heed the whispers of your soul? When you seek to truly develop into your highest self for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, in the first part of this series, which is about understanding and embracing the calling on your soul, we talked about number one, embracing the fact that you are a soul on a mission and you were not created in vain. And it's time for you and I, for all of us, to stand up and be counted as an agent of good in this world. We also talked about that there's a calling embedded in your soul, the call to ibadah, the call to acknowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your Lord and to make your life an affirmation of that covenant, the covenant that you took before your soul ever came to this earth. We also talked about the need to deepen your relationship with the Quran, to see it as a personal message from your Lord, a guidebook and a mission manual. And to most importantly, in addition to reading the Quran more frequently and reflecting upon it, allow the Quran to read you, right? To teach you, to mold you, and to equip you for the journey ahead. To equip you for the journey in the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to understand that you were literally built for this. Understanding that you can make a difference. We can all make a difference wherever Allah has placed us, right? To use whatever that role or that situation to magnify Allah and call to His light. And although we might not always live up to our highest potential, as Allah said to the angels when He created our father Adam, and they asked, would He place someone on the earth, would He place a creation that would shed blood and cause mischief and just create problems? He, Azza wa Jal, said, I know what you know not. And, He knew, subhanAllah, by His infinite wisdom, He knew the heroes that would emerge from the ummah, right? The heroes that He was embedding within these souls that He was creating. These heroes that would rise, these souls who would strive for His sake. lights among the Ummah that will help us to recalibrate every time we lose our way and go off course, and may Allah make us among them. Ameen. And we talked about the fact that to truly actualize your potential, you have to be able to pull in, tune out the noise, and retreat to the cave, right? To take time and quiet reflection, introspection, prayer, dua, dhikr, reading, and seeking Allah's guidance. And finally, in the last video, we sought to vanquish the notion that this connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that this embrace of our purpose is only available to some people. That if you're a person who has struggled in your connection to Allah, or you felt far from Him, that this isn't for you, that you don't deserve to join the ranks of the righteous strivers. But that could not be further from the truth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves when you return back to Him, and He is always waiting to welcome you back. Now this may seem like a lot, right? It may seem like a lot of internal and external work so far, but what's the bigger purpose of all of this? It's to unearth and unleash your inner hero. Because, my dear sister, there's a version of you that you haven't met yet. Who is she? What is she like? What has she accomplished? And what has she overcome? This inner voice, these soul whispers, this potential future self, she's most likely calling out to you right now, nudging you, prodding you, whispering, and sometimes even screaming for you to allow her to be born, to carry out her own unique version of the mission that we are all tasked with. And this is not just for some of us. We all have that inner voice that emanates from our soul that seeks to guide us towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to actualize our highest potential. Ibadah, a righteous action for the sake of Allah. And if you truly desire to embrace your identity as a soul on a mission and become a person of consequence for the sake of Allah, then the things that I've mentioned so far in this series are absolutely fundamental elements that you will absolutely need for the journey ahead. And these elements were embraced by the great Islamic personalities and also the lesser known but equally impactful souls who worked for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not just in the fields of da'wah, also agents of change in the areas of education, activism, medicine, philanthropy, publishing, community building, agriculture, business, and those amazing women who dedicate their time to raising our most precious asset, the next generation of believers. And many of us, we do that while also attending to some of these other roles as well. And for many of these people of consequence, these change agents, these individuals who embraced their roles as wherever they are, whatever they're doing, to do so for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, very often they stir out as those quiet soul whispers, the thoughts that you just can't shake, the questions that they keep asking themselves, the paradigms that you question, a change that you want to bring about, and a yearning to do and to be more. Have you ever felt that? This is what I mean by your soul whispers. But what's possible? What can you do if you do heed those whispers? For some people, there'll be things that they'll accomplish on a community or societal level. But for many people, for many of us, tuning into those soul whispers can look something like working to understand and heal your trauma so that you do not pass on the generational trauma, okay? Being more present, patient, and purposeful parents. It can look like embracing the hijab and covering yourself for the sake of Allah, working on your character, embarking upon a deeper study of the Quran, consciously working on your health, going back to school, starting a business, teaching a class, despite any insecurities you may have. All these seemingly small things that can literally shift the trajectory of individual lives, of interpersonal relationships, of families, communities, and the world. Now you might be asking, if we can do so much, if we can have so much impact, why do we often run the other way? Why do we often ignore our soul whispers. There's a few key reasons that I've seen. Number one, we often drown out our soul whispers due to fear. So we ignore them, we drown them out, we cover them up because there's an innate fear inside of potentially what's behind that door. And we're afraid, for many reasons, to open that and expose ourselves to our own potential. Also, we sometimes don't hear those soul whispers because we're numbing ourselves. We numb ourselves with vices and low-level pastimes, and sometimes this is done intentionally, just to try and block everything out, and sometimes it's done unintentionally. We get into certain habits and certain routines and don't realize how they are blocking us from really tuning into that inner voice. Also, sometimes we just don't trust the soul whispers. Like you've heard people say, I don't trust myself. I don't trust my inner voice. And this can sometimes come from past experiences that you've had that make you trepidatious of moving forward. And the final big one is that very often we're afraid to listen to and follow those soul whispers because we're afraid of what they will require from us, who they will require us to become. So what's the antidote for these things? And what will help you to tune in and give you the courage to heed those soul whispers and to set out on the journey to your higher self? Some things that aid in really hearing and tapping into those soul whispers are, number one, time alone. We are constantly surrounded by people, by things, by gadgets, by social media. Become your own best friend. Become your own best friend and make peace with stillness and with silence. Also, of course, seclusion in prayer and engaging in dhikr. Okay, connecting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in praise is a way to expand your awareness and to sharpen your listening. And of course, connecting to the Quran and learning to understand and see and discern the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you really delve into the Quran, you will see the patterns and just the way that Allah works, and it can help you discern things that you are dealing with and help you navigate those experiences and see where is He leading you and what is the best use of your time, your energy, and your soul. And also learning to differentiate the voice of shaitan from the voice of your fitrah and the voice of your soul. Very often we can confuse the two and think that some of the thoughts that we think or some of the things that we feel are from ourselves, but shaitan is the one who whispers into the heart. He doesn't whisper into our ears, he whispers into our heart, so we think that it's coming from us. But learning to discern his voice and separate that out so that we can clearly hear the call. What helps with that is the next point, leaving off sin and seeking to elevate your character, right? Because when you can work on self-mastery and you can commit to character development, this allows you to train yourself, and in time you are able to tune in more deeply and more quickly. So you've made a habit of restraining your nafs, and it's not always getting in the way and blocking the signal. And finally, a huge antidote is to simply act. You have to be in action, engage in amalu solihat, right? Good, righteous deeds. And as you move forward, seeking to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as you walk, the path will begin to unfold. Allah Azza wa Jal, as you continue to strive in His sake and continue to work on yourself in this way, subhanAllah, He will continue to lay the path of khair before you. Now, as a coach, I'm always assigning homework because I want you to really integrate what I'm sharing with you, not just to listen. Because knowing something is not just hearing it, right? Simply hearing a thing means you have awareness of it. You just have awareness of it, or it's something that you've come across. You have basic awareness. But true knowledge and knowledge that benefits is that which you integrate, that you act upon, and that you can see and assess the results of. And this is how you can accumulate over time wisdom, because you have this repertoire of experiences and integration and results. And this is also how over time you can support others as well, because you have that depth of understanding. But that comes with action. So for your assignment, I want you to do two things. Number one, of the things that I mentioned as reasons why we run from or are unable to tap into our soul whispers, I want you to comment below and tell me one thing that you're currently grappling with or one thing that has held you back in the past from that list. And number two, of the items that I mentioned that can help you really tune into your soul whispers and give you the confidence to move forward on the journey, I want you to pick at least two that you'll focus on in this blessed month of Ramadan and also commit to carrying you forward even after the blessed month is over. And remember, your inner voice, your soul whispers, that future self, she's waiting for you. You just have to show that you're willing to do the work to meet her. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
قد أفلح من زكاها